We're announcing that 10,000 more kids across our state are on grade level, and that's a tremendous accomplishment. You know, when we talk about improvement, it's not about starting improvement, it's about keeping an improvement going in Louisiana because our educators are making great progress. You know, we've had a lot of talk in our state about how progress and student achievement and so on is correlated with the home lives of students. Well, we're standing in a school where 81% of the kids are on grade level and 82% of the kids are free and reduced lunch. So this school is a symbol not just of progress, but it's a symbol that every child can achieve what they want to achieve, can achieve what we want to achieve with them. And I would say that the administration of Jim Mesa and the Jefferson Parish School Board is that as well. Because you don't just get these gains because of the day-to-day work in the classroom, you get these gains because of leadership at the district level. The board and the district here in Jefferson are making tremendously bold strides. And what I think that says, and should say to the rest of our state, is that we need more green lawn terraces. We can't rest on having some green lawn terraces that are high challenge, high success schools. We've got to do things different. We've got to have courage. And this district here at Green Lawn, as well as across the district, is putting children first. They're not letting adult interests get in the way. And that's what our plan Louisiana believes is all about. So just as a state, we should be very, very proud of 2%. It's bigger than what we got last year. It's bigger than our average gains. It's 10,000 kids more. We need to continue to think big in order to get big gains for our kids. We've started a plan, and I'll start the presentation on the left, called Louisiana Believes, that tries to use districts like Jefferson as a model to say, let's think big in spite of the big progress that we've made. That says that if we believe that all kids can learn, if we believe that teachers can be the critical factor in ensuring that kids learn, and by the way, I'm sure it's the case here at Green Lawn, and it's the case across our state. We didn't get 2% of gains because of some magical force. We got 2% because of our teachers. We're getting growth across the state because our teachers are good and getting better. And we need to do everything we can to empower them in the classroom. That we can have a plan that believes both in teachers and believes in kids, to ensure that we use this not as the start of improvement, but that we put our pedal to the metal and we continue getting gains across the state. Let's talk a little bit about, on the slide presentation, about what gains we've actually gotten here at Green Lawn, here in Jefferson, and across the state. If you look back over the last 7 years, you see that the fact that we made growth is not abnormal. That actually we're seeing year-over-year growth, but that this level of growth is the highest level of growth of any year except one over that time period. So this year we saw significant growth, 10,000 students, and we're growing at a faster rate than ever before. If you look across the subject areas, what you see is that there's consistent growth. In fact, out of 24 administered assessments that we're reporting on today, 17 of them saw growth. And that means that this is not isolated at one particular grade level or in one particular subject area. We are seeing significant growth. I do think it's worthy of note a couple of things. Number one, we had in some subject areas greater growth than others. While we saw growth across grade levels, we saw the greatest growth in math and science. We saw growth but less growth in English language arts and social studies. We also know that we are continuing to see, we saw tremendous growth in the 8th grade this year, which I think we should take tremendous pride in. A growth that gets more kids into high school, a growth that gets more kids across that promotion hurdle. We saw our struggles in the 6th grade. And we know that in part that has to do with the transition to middle school. In part that cohort of kids, that specific group of kids, have somewhat seen lower outcomes over the course of the years. And so we need to continue to focus on that particular group of kids. But 17 out of 24 tests grew this year. I'm going to walk through just a couple of grade levels. Number one, the 4th grade leap grew significantly in terms of the percentage of kids scoring basic and above from 2000 to 2005 to today. I mean, literally an enormous increase. And that, as you'll see on the next slide, that's actually echoed as well. So if you take this back to the advent of the leap on math and ELA, you're going to see in 4th grade, and then let's shift in the slides to 8th grade, similar levels of growth over that period of time. So this is part of a long-term upward trend on the 4th and 8th grade leap, meaning more kids are promoted into high school than ever before. The same is true in high school, though we're not seeing the same rate of growth. We have good indications in our high schools. We'll wait for this year's graduation results to come back shortly. But we saw nearly a 4-point growth in graduation last year, and that's mirrored on these assessments in science and social studies. This is the last year of the GEE at the high school level. We're moving exclusively to end-of-course tests next year. So what you see in front of you represents just an 11th grade group of test takers. But nevertheless, it's growth. That's good growth, and we should be proud of our 11th grade students. One increase this year was the number of districts who are making progress, and I want to emphasize this for members of the media. Jefferson Parish made great growth, and I want to talk about Jefferson in a second, but more districts than last year showed growth. In fact, we're now at a point where 2/3 of our districts are actually showing growth from one year to the next, which is an increase. Let me also add, and this is why in part we want to talk about Jefferson, of the districts that are showing growth, a large number of them are participating in pilot initiatives that, frankly, most districts are not participating in, whether it's our value-added data pilot, whether it's our teacher effectiveness pilot, whether it's our school-based budgeting pilot so that principals have greater discretion over how dollars are spent rather than Washington and Baton Rouge controlling how dollars are spent. Those pilot programs are empowering educators and are clearly making gains because of our districts that are making the greatest growth. A large number of them are the districts that are participating in these small pilot programs. Let me also add the Recovery School District continued to make growth. Over the last 5 years, the Recovery School District in New Orleans is by far and away the largest gaining district in the state. Superintendent Dobard is here and we'll discuss after this presentation the specific gains in the RSD, but we should be tremendously proud of the work that's gone on in New Orleans. And let me just say, since it's the neighboring parish, that the growth in New Orleans is not limited to the RSD. In fact, if you total up all students in New Orleans, 60% of students in New Orleans are now proficient or above. That makes New Orleans the 52nd ranked district in the state, whereas 10 years ago it was the 70th ranked district in the state, the last ranked district. So New Orleans is climbing very, very fast and has tied other large urban areas. Just to talk about Jefferson as an example of what happens when districts truly take on the Louisiana Believes model and think outside the box. Number one, it's one of the first 20 districts that have been in our value-added data pilot program. It's one of the districts in our Compass pilot program, which means it was really one of those groups that jumped out and started working on the teacher evaluation system a year in advance of the rest of the state. It's in our school-based budgeting program, we have greater control over dollars at the school level than at the central office level. Jefferson has made bold strides in trying to protect great teachers and keep great teachers in the classroom by using merit as the basis on which they make their personnel decisions. And they're also employing advanced compensation models, tying compensation to performance and giving teachers good feedback through the TAP system and through recruiting teachers through traditional and alternative means of certification. Jefferson Parish is pushing the envelope. There are parishes across the state like New Orleans, like St. Bernard, not too far down from New Orleans, that are pushing the envelope in what they're doing in their classrooms, and they're getting better outcomes. And so this needs to be a clarion call to district leadership across the state, to school board leadership across the state, to step up, to make a change, and to put children first, because when you do, you're going to see good outcomes like we're seeing here at Greenlawn and like we're seeing across Jefferson today. You see in front of you, for members of the media in various markets, the districts that improved the most from last year to this year. You'll see that St. Helena Parish, which really we're talking about essentially one school to put that in context, but we should be very proud of what's going on in St. Helena Elementary. DeSoto made good gains. I'd also add that DeSoto is a pilot district in many respects and is using the TAP model of teacher evaluation and compensation. And then Central District in East Baton Rouge Parish made great gains, and then on down through the districts, including the Recovery School District, that are at the top of our gains list this year. If you look across time, you see, let's go to the next slide. If you look across time, you see a lot of the same names, frankly, on that list. You see that the Recovery School District is by far and away the greatest gainer in New Orleans. But you see other districts that are making big change. St. Bernard Parish, East Carroll Parish, Madison, Orleans, districts that continue to do things different and are getting different outcomes. And finally, in the rank of highest performing schools, Zachary continues to be the highest performing school with 87% of kids at basic and above and on down. And congratulations go to those schools. Let me just pause by saying that, and end by saying that we still have significant challenges ahead of us. As this graph illustrates, if 100 students enter high school in Louisiana, 70 end up finishing high school in 4 years, and 19 end up getting an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree. We know that if the young children that are behind me are going to go on to be everything that they can and will be, if they continue to get the quality of education that they're getting here in elementary school at Greenlawn, elsewhere beyond, that they will do bigger and better things, and they'll help push our state beyond that 19 number. We know we can do better. That's why our Louisiana Believes plan, and I'll just move through this quickly, articulates two big changes that we're urging districts to take on. One, let's expand the number of choices for families by making every early childhood program an academic program. Let's expand the choices within the K-12 realm, and let's continue to push high school options like industry-based training, like advanced placement courses, and like early college dual enrollment coursework. In the classroom, we're going to adopt our Common Core standards, especially focusing on literacy so as to get our literacy numbers up. We're going to adopt our Compass system of teacher effectiveness, and we're going to ask every district and school in the state to do 5 simple things to ensure that every classroom we're seeing improvement. At the end of the day, this has to be all about believing that every child can learn. There are a number of schools and districts in this state, not just limited to Jefferson, but certainly symbolized by what's happening here at Greenlawn, what's happening here in Jefferson Parish, what's happening in many of the places that we discussed in this presentation, that are truly putting children first, that are truly believing in kids, and they believe that teachers can be the critical link to change for our kids. This is the most important reminder behind me here today of why we're here. I want to thank all of you in the room who have put so much behind ensuring that what your kids receive at Greenlawn, what our kids receive in Louisiana, is better from one day to the next, so that their future can be better from one day to the next. And I am very thankful for all of you being here for this announcement. I'm going to ask Superintendent Patrick Dobart from the RSD if he would come up and make some announcements and discuss the RSD's progress. Then we'll come back and answer questions for members of the media in the room here today or on the conference call.
Good afternoon, and thanks Superintendent White and Dr. Meza for allowing us a moment to discuss what we're describing as a significant milestone in New Orleans school history. Because for the first time, we see that in New Orleans, we have over 50% of students scoring at a proficient level in the city of New Orleans. And that is just phenomenal growth that we've made in the Recovery School District over the last 5-year period. So as Superintendent White has said, we've gone from 23% of our students 5 years ago only scoring at that level to now 51.4%. And that's just tremendous growth. And what that shows is that there's proof that our turnaround model and strategy does work. It's extremely difficult work, but at the same time, it's most rewarding because we see that young people and their lives are being impacted in the most significant way. And what I wanted to do is just take a couple of minutes just to go over some of the specific details as to why we've seen this growth. And looking at 4th and 8th grade, all tests, all subjects, we've increased again this year, so it's all about gains, 47% to 49%. And most notably in math, we've increased 1% in math, but more notably in science, we had a tremendous jump, 35% of our students scoring basic and above to 45%, as well as we saw just nominal growth in social studies and English. In 8th grade leap, we've seen tremendous growth, again, in science from 35 to 40%, and also in social studies, 45 to 49%, again, of kids scoring at basic and above. And so one of the things we realize is that a lot of the challenges that we have ahead lie within the other 50% of students, 49% of students who are not at that level. We know that we have the most challenged students to serve. We know that when one comes into the Recovery School District, you are a failing school. But to see this growth, to know that we're making gains consistently is something that we should truly be excited about. And not only just at the very mid-level or the proficient level, but we've made gains from the students scoring at Mastery and Advanced from 8.9% to 10.3%. So our higher end students students, we're continuously pushing them and making certain that they're achieving at a higher level. And also significantly, we've again reduced the number of students scoring at unsatisfactory from 22% to 19.5%. And so again, we know that 52%, over 51% of our students scoring at this level is something to be excited about, but we're also keenly aware that there's still lots of work to be done. And so going forward, we know that we have to address issues of equity to make certain that our hardest to serve students are being engaged properly and that we're moving them ahead. But we're also looking to make certain that our model and what we're doing in New Orleans and beyond can translate into neighboring parishes. They're all our children. This is our state, and we should be proud of all the things that we do to make their lives better. And so we're truly excited about the progress we've made. But more than that, we believe and we know that we're going to continue on a path forward that's going to ensure success for our children. Thank you.
We've got results from across grade levels, and what it shows us is 2% more Louisiana kids are achieving their grade level than were achieving their grade level last year. And it shows us actually that we've made nearly a dozen points of progress over the last 7 years. So there's been a lot of growth, but for this year, it means 10,000 more kids are on grade level who were on grade level last year, and that's great news.
You mentioned some steps that you want to see all schools throughout the state take. What are those?
Well, there's basic things around classroom improvement. You want to see teachers setting goals. You want to see feedback given to teachers. You want to see teachers using assessments that reflect higher standards than what we have now. Those are basic steps that we know if we see in every classroom that we'll see increased gains across the state.
Are you encouraged by today's results?
Oh, I'm very encouraged. But we're here at Green Lawn Elementary in Jefferson Parish, and one of the things that you notice is it's not because the kids came in higher performing, it's not because everybody got rich, it's because the kids dug in, they did the work, the teachers said it's high expectations for everybody, no matter their home life, and we're going to see great gains as a result.
If people have questions or like more information, what should they do?
Well, if people want more information, they can go to louisianaschools.net, which is our website. All the results are on the website, and they can get more information there.